Okay, so I'm just gonna show you a section doing tonal value with let's just go with neutrals. Um, Here I have a neutral 1. It's kind of hard to see, I know, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start here, and with the neutral 1, uh, I'm only gonna go about 3/4 of the way, not all the way. And this is the first tonal value, right? And I'm gonna build up. I'm just gonna keep building up closer to the darker edge to get it a little bit darker. And this is gonna give you a true neutral 1 on this side. And on this side, it's gonna be completely white, right? So then you're gonna get this colorless blender. I forgot to mention you're gonna want to pick up a colorless blender. It's not really a blender. What it is essentially it's an eraser, and you're gonna want to use it to erase the edges of some your lightest colors, or any color really, and it goes into the white of the paper, and it basically creates a blend of that color into the paper. You don't use it to blend one color into another color. It's used to blend a color into the white of the paper. This one's a little low on ink, so it's not coming out as clear as I'd like. But you get the gist. That's essentially 1, right? So we're gonna go to N3 now. But notice I'm still gonna be using N1, right? Now you're saying, well, thought we were doing N3, and we are. But your base for N3 is actually going to be N1. And in fact, because you want it clear, you want it to be one tone all the way through, you can actually use the chiseled tip to sort of just color through. Like so. Right? So this is your 1. N1. Now once you've gotten that base down for N1, and what you're really trying to do is you're trying to do N3, right? You're going to get your N3, and you go about halfway. About halfway. And the strokes at the end, they don't have to be exact, lined up. In fact, it's preferable not for it to be. Now on this side, you're gonna build up a layer, and that's gonna be your true N3, right? Over here, it's gradually becoming this N1. Now you're gonna take this N1, and you're going to go to the tip, or the area where N3 meets the N1, and you're going to blend that N3 into that N1. It's not a quick process, and it really all comes down to how much effort you're willing to put into it, is how that blend is going to come out, right? Like the more effort you put into blending, the more it's going to come out blended. Less effort, the less of a blend, right? So the next one will be N5, right? I'm going to move it over a little bit just so you can see better. So I'm using the N3 as the base, right? Now, if you wanted, you could even go, you know, from the N5 to a N1. If you want it to be like a different tone or different, like, and more like a warm, you could even combine, you know, warm and the N neutral colors or a gray tone together. But for now, we'll just say that's neutral 3, right, as the base for neutral 5. We'll go about halfway with the neutral 5. And then we get that neutral 3 back. And right along the edge, I'm going to start blending that neutral 5 into the neutral 3. It's really that simple, man. So just, you know, it just all comes down to how much time and effort you're willing to put into each tone. And it's basically like that for the rest of them, man. If I take the next would be a base color for N5. You know, this is going to be N7. So basically what I'm doing is I'm laying down the N5 for the N7. And this is my technique on how to do this. I'm sure other people have different techniques. You know, if you find a technique that you prefer better, you know, by all means go for it. You know, I'm just showing you this as a way of you having a basis of, you know, something at least to see technique wise what you can do. You know, I'm sure there's other artists that have a better way of doing this. This is just mine. This is what I do. All right. And then I'm going to go back to that N5. And I'm going to shade that N7 or blend that N7 into that N5 with the N5. And if you're noticing if it's getting like too dark, like right here, then go a shade even under that. Go to like an N3. And that N3 you're going to use to blend the N7 into the N5. Takes a little bit more work, but you're going to get more of a blend. And you're just going to learn. It's all by eye, you know. If it's not looking right to you, you know, switch it up. You know, you're the artist. You know what's up. You know what you need to do. But that's pretty much it, man. But that's pretty much it, guys. Like, you know, it's pretty straightforward. Now, I will show you some different techniques as far as clothing, right? Like clothing, you know, it's all about how light hits it, right? So, you know, let's say you have a piece of cloth right here, and it's got curling like that. I don't know if you can see that very well, but I'm basically just showing you offhand, how it would look. I'm going to start with an N1. And basically, you're going to create, starting with N1, shade, basically, for your cloth. You can move to N3. And I know it doesn't look like much, but this is just an example, and you'll see it more in application in the next section. But essentially, I'm going to go back to N1, right? So just like I showed you before, you want to blend the shades into each other so that it creates a smooth blend between N1 and N3. So I know I'm not as good a talker as Ed. I can basically just show you the steps, talk you through it a little bit, and hopefully you retain it or it makes sense to you. If it doesn't, I understand. You'll come up with your own method or whatever the case may be. But as for now, it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. That's the gist of it, really. Now, I did mention to you before the gel pen, right? And what I like to use a gel pen for is to create a contrast between two dark, like a dark area and a light area. So let's say I'm going to go ahead and use the N7, right? Let's say you have, let's just say, for instance, the shadow, light is coming from here, right? So let's say you have a line that right here, and there's a crease, and so this area right here is in shadow, is the light's not hitting it, but this spot right next to it, that's getting hit by the light, right? So you use the gel pen to come right there, like right next to the shadow, and what it does is it creates a contrast between light and dark, and that's what people notice the most. You ever hear the saying when people say, "Oh, your eyes drawn to the dark areas first"? I always hear artists say that. It's actually not true. What they're actually seeing is a contrast, right? If you have a drawing with a lot of blends of gray or just color, and then you see something that just stands out, that just doesn't seem to fit, that dark area, that's what people are noticing. It's just something that stands out to their eye. It's the same thing. So when you see dark area next to a white area, that's what you're gonna notice, right? You're gonna notice the difference. It's the thing that stands out to your eye. So, and I do that a lot as far as textures for like metal, for clothing, for veins even. It's just giving it that shine that white kind of provides next to dark. And you don't want to do it if the gray tone is really isn't dark enough, then that contrast isn't going to be there, right? So it all just takes experimentation, trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. Um, but for now, this is pretty much the technique that I use to shade. Whether it's N1, N3, I'm sorry, whether it's N1, N3, N5, or N7. Um, whether I'm doing cloth, I have a different technique for metal. Uh, I have even a different technique for skin because skin responds differently to light than it would to cloth or than it would to metal. So that really all you're basically doing when you're doing all these different textures is you're simulating the way that light reflects off their surface. So uh, the next lesson will basically be, practical application. I have a sketch that we're not going to finish the sketch, but we're going to do little sections. And in those little sections, I'm going to show you how to, color or shade skin, shade cloth, shade metal, just so you get an idea of what you can do with these markers. Okay, I want to thank you very much. And until the next lesson, I'll see you then. Bye-bye.